So went to go get pizza. Went to go pick up a pizza, and I could see there was like dark clouds on the horizon, and there was this crazy thunderstorm going on. Went in, paid for my pizza, came out, and it had just started kind of raining. And I noticed that if I drive my truck kind of like an asshole and take corners really quickly, and like brake and gas, it kind of feels like it's like a little dune buggy almost.
Driving like a dick.
Yeah, and just something about like the rain and this like little like dune buggy kind of in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna watch a Jurassic Park movie. I really wanted to watch Jurassic World. I haven't really had that with any newer movies lately, where I'm like, this is a good time to watch that movie. So I rewatched Jurassic World last night.
That's fair. I kind of know the feeling because, like, you ever get that feeling just like, I want to watch Aliens? Because I always get that feeling sometimes. Just like, I really want to watch the first Alien movie. Just for whatever reason. Sometimes I want to watch the third. Never Resurrection. Ever, ever. But usually the first three.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's. I get that once in a while. Like, I do enjoy it. I'll do it maybe like a pseudo trilogy or like just the two movies together.
Yeah.
But Jurassic World, not terrible. Like, thinking back, like, I kind of feel like I wasn't a big fan when it first came out. I was big enough fan to go get the special collector's edition lunchbox.
Nice. I did see that.
Yeah, so I have that. So I, like, busted that out and watching it. And, like, I really don't hate the movie.
I think it's just, like, it's a very fun movie. And it didn't stray too far for what Jurassic Park really was. It's kind of like just like a thrill ride movie. You kind of know what the beats are going to be like. They're going to be running from dinosaurs at some point. So you kind of know what you're getting. But for whatever reason, they just did like they just were like, you know what, let's just make the funnest, most entertaining movie. And Chris Pratt's very charismatic, so who knows?
Yeah, like the only edit, like the only part I kind of don't like, and like I was watching through, like I almost went to skip through it, is when the little flying dinosaurs escape the enclosure and like attack the park.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of unnecessary violence.
It feels to me like that part, like they're really just adding that to be like, oh, let's amp up the stakes. But at the end of the day, you're like, you could have just had like that thing just fucking just like smash through it. It's big scary monster, raptor, whatever. It's like, there's lots of different ways of handling it. I think they could have basically chopped, what is it, like, it's like a good 25-minute segment.
No, it's only like maybe like 10, like 5.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like you could just chop that straight out.
There's this scene where like there's this little flying dinosaur and there's this little stegosaurus with a saddle and he's like picking it up and he drops it on the ground and I'm like, that is unnecessary. Like, you do what you want to the bitchy girl who does nothing wrong. She's literally just on her phone. Her job's like, you're this high-priced assistant in Jurassic Park and you have to watch these two kids, and she's like, ugh. Like, maybe she could have been a bit more engaged.
Or maybe her family's going through some shit and she's talking to her family. But I think there's a couple times where it's like you overhear her talking about like some guy or something.
Well, like her boyfriend, like, is like, oh, he's not allowed to have a bachelor party because her friends are animals. And I'm like, whatever, that happens. But like, still, like, her death, okay. Still, just like those two scenes, and I'm like, why are those there? And I was thinking, like, for somehow if they could have changed the movie and just made it a lot simpler. And somehow if Claire would have went to go check out the Indominus Rex with Chris Pratt and the two kids, like, at night, and the kids would have somehow fucked it up, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, the same kind of situation happened, and then it's the four of them running through the woods together. I think that would have added a lot more character development, instead of just being like, well, I don't really love my nephews, I love my job. Oh, wait, now I love my nephews. And that's just her character development. And then you just have the scene of, as they're trying to, like, their lines of communication are cut off, they can't track the Indominus or the kids. They're lost in the park. What do? And instead of having the dinosaurs attack, just have a scene where all of a sudden the Indominus Rex is just standing in the boardwalk and like terrorizes people or something, you know?
Yeah, he didn't really fuck up like the pack of people. It's mostly just like they only really, because they basically pull everybody back in. And they're all just kind of chilling at, like, home base. It cuts to a bunch of people in basically what's a gymnasium. It's like, oh, look at this riveting stuff.
Or or they even could have done a scene where he attacks a bunch of those little gyro cars, and all the little gyro cars are running around, and everyone's panicking, and that's the kind of the inciting incident.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't really, like, the Dominus Rex doesn't really get a chance to really fuck up anybody that's not a main character. It's like, oh, if you're not a main character, you don't even know that this thing exists.
Even like the owner's stupid, and he flies a helicopter after it, and he gets too close and crashes. Like if somehow
that was kind of a facepalm moment.
Yeah, like if somehow they put they were trying to like capture him, and they were gonna put a noose around him or something to shock him, and then he somehow they got too close and he grabbed the helicopter and he smashed it into the ground.
Yeah, or if it was one of those things where it's like, we need multiple helicopters to kind of like coordinate from different angles, kind of hurt this thing, like have a ground team and then 2 like helicopters kind of like working it out somehow.
Yeah.
But like making, I don't know, I think the whole like, oh, they couldn't find the one pilot. You're like, there's literally only one pilot in this entire freaking island?
Yeah,
it's like
you literally need to be a pilot or
to get there. Like, you'd think that these guys are like dime a dozen. Like, just go to the first bar. There's all the pilots. Be like, who's soberest?
Yep. Yeah. No, it's. I don't know. It's.
Yeah. But I think as it is, like, if you don't overthink it, it's just a fun movie. Like, but then again, so is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I actually had the craving to watch that movie the other day.
That's fair. Well, but. I mean, if you critically think and you take the nostalgia glasses off and you go back and watch the first Jurassic Park movie, it's nothing great. Like, the visuals are good, but the story is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, going back and you're like, really? Like, this is the... Like, why is this happening? And why is the crew leaving? Like, the first weekend they have people there, don't you think they'd be like, hey guys, you have to work over the weekend because... And, like, we can get drunk here or something, but we're having my grandkids come in. Like, everything has to be fully We're not going to run with just a skeleton crew, so...
Yeah, no. And you'd be like, oh, hey, look, half the people are leaving to go on to, like, ship because there's this huge storm coming in. Oh, everybody that's in the park that's visiting, no, they're not necessary to evacuate. You're like, I just don't get this.
Well, like, no, but the boat's leaving to take them all... Like, the storm's coming in, and the boat has to leave early... to get everyone to the mainland.
Okay, but wouldn't you be like, yo, you guys are on a track, we're going to go as fast as we can to get you guys back?
As soon as the storm starts rolling in, that's when they say, oh, we have to cut the tour short, let's come back.
I obviously have not watched this recently.
Yeah, so you're right, but like there's an inciting incident of like, oh shit, this tropical storm turns north instead of going south, and now let's get everyone back to the compound, and the boat's like, we gotta go, and then Nedry's like, well, the tour's still going. Oh, but you need to come to the dock. So then he shuts the power off, and that's kind of where the bad stuff happens.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, want to get into today's show?
Sure.
When you decide to step up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing feeling, when you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come, the games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience, because no one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Welcome to the Podtendo podcast. We're going to do things a little differently today. We're not going to be talking about just one game. We're going to do something, I guess, that's very controversial. Do you want to give a disclaimer before we get going today?
These are all our personal opinions, and as such should be treated as such. It's not fact by any means, so just our personal opinion.
See, I want to counter that. These are all actual... What I'm going to be telling you is all real fact, and your opinions, if you differ, are wrong, and I hate you. I'm going to be such a goddamn villain on the internet, like, if anyone ever listens to this, like, ugh.
Whatever.
Just not looking forward to that. Hey, did I tell you I should show you our stats page for who's listened? We have a couple of viewers from Tennessee that randomly keep listening.
Nice. Shout out to Tennessee.
Yeah, go Titans.
Absolutely.
Really excited to draft DeMarco Murray this year, and see how many fantasy football points he gets me,
I think I had him last year, man. I would just skip it.
Yeah, but he was an Eagle. He wasn't the Titans. I mean, the Titans are probably one of the best football teams ever.
Oh, absolutely. Go Titans.
Go Tennessee Titans. So, what are we doing today that's so controversial, and why the start of the show sounds a little different, is we're starting a transition from old NES games to new, Super Nintendo games here on Podtendo, and as such, I asked us both to compile kind of our list of top 10 NES and top 10 Super Nintendo games. So we'll roll through those today, kind of talk about where each of them are. And I think it'll be very interesting to do this now before we get into more games to see, does our list get influenced. So maybe as like on our 2-year anniversary, we'll roll back and do a similar podcast where we do a list. I mean, assuming we're around in 2 years.
Yeah, assuming.
So if that's the case, I would love to do another top 10 list and just say what's changed, what's different now that maybe we played some of these games that didn't even make our list, or like maybe on the bottom of the list and we've played them for the podcast. Does that give us a better appreciation for the game?
Yep.
All right, ready? I think we'll start natural point kind of with the old. Let's start with our NES.
Absolutely.
So the way I have my list broken down is I have the tiered system, but it's 1 to 10. I did rank them accordingly. I kind of have a little number. The number means like nothing to you guys. It would mean something to me. So we'll just call it 1 to 10. Want to start bottom up?
So start from 10?
Start from 10, work up. At 2, I'll kind of do my honorable mentions.
That works.
To build a little suspense. So those ones will probably just be briefly, they're here. I didn't include them because of this.
Yep.
And work like that. So, first, number 10 on your NES list. What do you got?
I got Castlevania.
I want to do Castlevania. All right.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid game, and I mean, started off a franchise. Just look at, we'll get to Super Castlevania, and the glory of that is that game, and this just kind of like started that, so had to kind of naturally be on the list.
Okay, so with that, Castlevania is actually my 5th game on the list.
Yeah.
I wrote a little funny thing, and this one I actually might sing for you. So it's Dracula's back, and you're gonna be in trouble. So whip it good. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So I guess if you really want more information, listen to the our Castlevania podcast. I really just love the simplicity of this title. That's why it ranked about 5th on my list.
Yeah, the atmosphere is pretty amazing.
For myself, for my 10 spot, I'm going to copy you a little bit. I got Final Fantasy 1.
Nice. I have mine a little bit higher on my top 10 list, for sure. But I'll give it to you when we get there.
Perfect. So my explanation for why Final Fantasy is it's a solid game and it started a franchise. So the same reason you like Castlevania. I think I'll give you the list kind of. I'll read through them afterwards. But I mean, I don't think there's any point in like me talking about Castlevania at 5 if you've already mentioned it. So
yeah, that's fair. So I should probably just talk about because I got Final Fantasy at 4 actually. I got a little bit higher because I love the Final Fantasy games. This one I remember specifically first time I played it was the Game Boy Advanced, number 1 and number 2, all condensed into one little handy disc or little cassette on the go. It was good, and I mean it has a story of the 4 heroes, and I think you can choose from. No, you can just choose the 4 heroes, but you can choose any one. So you have 4 like warriors, 4 white mages, 4 black mages, and 4 thieves. I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was just the 4. Maybe there was a red, white, warrior, fighter, thief, and mage.
I want to say that's number 2. I want to say number 1 only had the warrior, black, white, and maybe red.
All right, well maybe we'll have to, when we play Final Fantasy 1 next, we'll find out.
Absolutely.
One of the big reasons it made my list was there was a little game called Final Fantasy 7. And basically the nostalgia and wanting to play more of those kind of games made me want to play this game back in the day.
Yeah, basically made you want to discover the entirety that was the Final Fantasy franchise. Especially after like you play 7, and then by the time we played 7, 8 was already out, and then 9 came out afterwards, I think, a little bit.
Yes. So at number 9, I have the game Star Tropics.
Nice.
It's an action-adventure game. In the game, you are a 10-year-old world-famous baseball pitcher. You have a famous doctor uncle. He's abducted by aliens. Yeah, this game is pretty weird. Basically, it's a Zelda ripoff, but it does it in definitely a much more fun, upbeat, modern take on it. So that would be my number 9.
Nice. I didn't even have that on my list because I've never played it.
All right, what do you have at number 9?
I got Metroid.
Metroid. All right.
It is. Well, you've already played through it. And that was the pilot episode. I've also kind of played through it on my own. It's really good. I really like the crap out of it. It's kind of nice to go explore this own alien world. And again, just a really good, neat atmospheric game, kind of like Castlevania. And yeah, I just think that a good atmosphere early on in like a franchise just kind of sets it up for success. So
yeah, I have Metroid at a little higher. It's at 6 on my list.
Yeah.
Really, it's the nostalgia of Super Metroid making me think this game is great. Standalone, I don't know if it's that strong of a title, especially with like other NES games, and even like when I know there's a Super Metroid out there.
But the
again,
soundtrack, man.
Yeah, I don't know, it's okay, I guess. Still, I mean, it made 7, it made 6 on my list, so that means a thing. That means a thing.
That means a thing.
That means a thing. Awesome. So at number 8, what do you got?
I got Ghosts and Goblins.
Because you enjoy being tortured?
I don't know. Again, really fun, atmospheric game. I've always, I guess my first exposure was like Maximus.
Yep.
And that the like just having to go back and play the very, very first one a long time ago. I think it gets way too hard for my skill level. But again, just the soundtrack and kind of world that it created. I always wish that there was more games in that kind of thing. There's the Gargoyles franchise, or the Demon's Crest.
What is it? It's Gargoyles Adventure, Demon's Crest, Super Ghouls and Goblins, and Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah.
So awesome. At number 8, I've got Blades of Steel.
Sick.
Old school hockey, old school teams, old school rules. If you have trouble with the new EA Sports NHL games, maybe you should grab this classic and settle your dispute like men.
Absolutely. And if you lose in the fights, you go to the penalty box because you're a chump.
Yep. Have this game on the Virtual Console and the Wii. Definitely remember playing this in college a little bit more. It's just a lot of fun. Very simple kind of sports game. Coming in at number 7 for myself, I've got Life is Like a Hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. DuckTales! Woo!
Nice.
The NES DuckTales game. They definitely stole the downward thrust mechanic from Zelda 2.
But perfected it.
It might be one of the best platformers on the NES.
Absolutely.
A little bit, and then there was that time you came to visit us. Was it 2 years ago now?
Probably about that.
And we sat up and bought it for the Wii U and just sat there and wrapped it. It was great.
It was a great game. Yeah, I got mine on my honorable mentions list. Such a tight platformer. Like when you die, it's totally your fault.
Yep. What do you got at 7?
7, I got Ninja Gaiden. Hard as fuck game, but just super fun. Like if you get kind of good at it, like I still suck. I can barely get past the first level. That's how bad I am. Especially since the boss isn't that hard. I just take a lot of damage. I just like playing as ninja, running around, and it's just really tight. Like I know that I suck at it, and that's the reason why I don't get very far. But still a fun game.
Awesome. Yes, I actually don't have it anywhere on my list. I have it on my 3DS, and I played through it a little bit, but nothing to write home to mom about. Well, not. I don't think it's a good game. I just haven't played that much into it. What do you have? What do you have at 6?
6, I got Mega Man 2.
Oh, what? That low? What's wrong with you?
It's a great game, don't get me wrong. But I mean, anywhere from like 1 to 6, just such solid games. 2 has best soundtrack, so that makes it a little bit better than everything else.
Okay, so I have Mega Man 2 at number 3 on my list. It's right up there. Like, it was actually maybe in the contention for my top spot. So,
Yeah.
what about? And then, so then if it comes back to me,
Yeah.
I've got Metroid at 6 and Castlevania at 5. We went over both those titles.
Basically, and then it goes back to me for 5. I get Dragon Quest.
What?
Yeah.
You got? I was gonna say you really like those RPGs on this list.
Yeah, man. They will. The NES, the Super Nintendo, and PlayStation was kind of like the end of the golden age of RPGs.
Okay.
That was kind of, I don't know. I haven't played. Like, I mean, I guess Lost Odyssey was kind of the last good JRPG. But I'm one of those suckers that's a fan for the turn-based RPG. For whatever reason, I'm a sucker for punishment, I guess.
Okay. What do you have at 4?
We did your 5. 4, I got Final Fantasy.
Okay.
And I already talked about that.
Okay. Coming back to me for 4, I have The Legend of Zelda.
Nice.
Yeah. Anytime I really want to take a test on my memory and swordsmanship, I turn to this game. And coming back to going to 3 for myself, Mega Man 2. I really like the level design here, the mechanics, and the fair difficulty on this title. I think it's the strongest of the classic series.
That's fair.
In my mind, it's not as good as X, but it's definitely like right up there if I'm going to go back and play a Mega Man. Oh, side tangent. I just got the Mega Man and Mega Man X collections on the PlayStation for like $36 out of the store or off of Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah, or PlayStation 2, and I have a PlayStation 2 that's sitting in my closet like for my Rock Band game.
Nice.
So I was like, that's kind of cool, and I feel like that's a really nice little just collector's items to sit up on the board. So
Yep. I used to have a Street Fighter 3 Final or Third Strike on, I think it was Xbox, but it would play on the 360, and I don't know. I gave it to one of my buddies who used to collect SNK versus games,
nice.
and I gave him that when I got rid of my Xbox 360 a long time ago. Should have never gave it up. That was one of those games where like, fuck, kick myself now because that was so good.
Yeah, like random little collections that I'm just like trying to get, and
they're impossible to find. The only reason I got it is because I worked at a GameStop and we did inventory. It wasn't even in the system. It just happened to be sitting in
nice.
some random back of a case. We're like, deal.
Nice. All right. So.
Oh, I didn't go to my 3.
Yeah. So let's go back to the list. What is your 3?
Mine's DuckTales. I didn't mention it when you mentioned it. Must have been spacing out like an idiot.
All right. You also didn't.
That's true. But I don't have such a good singing voice.
Where did we leave off in the song? We could just pick that up. You might solve a mystery. I really hope somebody listens to that and gets there and like shuts the podcast off, and then all of a sudden in their brain is just playing that song, and they're just like, "God damn you!"
Fuck you, man.
I mean, I'm gonna watch the Tennessee Titans and sing DuckTales all day, and I don't even care what you think, you bloody Americans or Canadians or whatever.
Your stupid CFL football that's worse because it has only 3 downs, which is totally true.
It's true. What do you got at 2?
2, I got Mario 3.
What? Me too.
Nice. Mario 2 and 1 are also kind of like, they're honorable mentions because
Okay.
much respect, but
Got a top spot going here. One game left. Want to just briefly... I mean, Mario 3, you can go back, listen to our podcast. I think we both gush about the game, why we love it. So let's just briefly go through our honorable mentions.
Yep.
I'll go first. That's all right?
Yeah, give her.
So I've got 4 down. Well, 5. I kind of cheated. I got Mario, Super Mario Brothers,
Nice.
Tecmo Bowl / Punch-Out! for a sports title,
Always good.
Duck Hunt.
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of because you need the peripheral. It's one of those underrated games nowadays, but I still think it's good. Like had very good mechanics and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, didn't even realize that was a game until I was much, much, much older after playing
Maybe
the
it's
first
only
one.
Metal Gear. I think Solid was for PlayStation.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one.
Okay, sorry, internet.
Yeah. Sorry, internet. Don't hate.
Yeah, so I got those 5 titles. What's your honorable mention?
Nice. I got Punch Out, Duck Hunt, and Metal Gear as well. Duck Hunt, I think, is one of those underrated classics that if you never had a chance to play Duck Hunt, I feel sorry for you because there's something satisfying about clicking that gun, and you would just get frustrated at that effing dog, and just put the gun to the screen and just cheat.
Yep.
Good times.
What was your last one? Did you have another one, or is that it? Just the 3?
Just the 3.
Okay, so 2, the number 1 game. I kind of think I know what yours is.
Yeah, you do.
So the same. Let's on the count of 3. Let's both say our game and see if we both have the same one.
Okay.
1,
2,
3.
3. Zelda 2. Yeah.
Yes, so I noticed you picked Zelda. I have Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Why'd you put Zelda on the top of your list?
I put Zelda 2.
You put Zelda 2 on the top of your list?
Yeah, I did.
Where was regular Zelda?
Well, it's kind of tied. I just kind of like, instead of doing honorable mentions, like I just put all the Marios at number 2. I was taking franchises. I was cheating.
Well, in that case, I mean, you put all the Mega Mans in there too.
Oh yeah, I kind of did say that. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a tight game. Like I said, if you just listened to our Zelda 2 podcast, shout out to us earlier. I don't know. I think it's a really tight game. I actually just like I have them on my 2DS, and yeah, they're one of those games where I feel like if the power ever goes out and I have a full charge on my 2DS, I would just play through them because they're good times. Like they're solid games. They're kind of atmospheric. They're hard as hell. So they got lots of like value. You can easily dump like a whole day into just wrapping one of these. And I feel like burning an entire day playing a really tight, good, because they're also kind of pretty. Like the colors are really nice. Like they're not like horrible colors, even though like there's some greens that can be really gross and disgusting to look at on old like kind of screens. But the colors are great. They're vibrant. It's a good game.
Okay, yeah, like I said, we just did Zelda 2. You could make the argument that it could be Zelda 1 or 2.
Oh, absolutely.
I just, like I said, I think the improved combat mechanics, I think, really pushed it to the top of my list. That's just my opinion. And I'm also that weird Zelda fanboy that really likes this title, so awesome.
And I feel like,
Again,
it depending... Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to preface my list is more tiers. So I would say on like this, you could probably put 1, 2, 3, and 4 as like my top game.
And I'll just preface mine and I'll say that I guess you could kind of... I use mostly franchises and just take everything with a grain of salt. The numbers don't really mean all that much. I think any of these could, any day of the week could kind of go up and down at least 2 or 3 slots, depending. Because, like, I mean, catch me on the right day and I'll say Mario 3 is the best NES game. Catch me on the right day and I'll say Zelda 1. So,
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to shoot us over that list. It's pretty unanimous across the board. There was a couple, obviously, different choices here or there, but this Super Nintendo, like, I might just like edit this and just say like whatever you guys think is the right answer, because I might get killed for this one. So
yeah, it happens.
All right, let's get ready and move on to the next one.
Nice.
the top 10 any Super NES games. So we'll do the same format as last time.
That works.
All right, I'm going to start with number 10. I've got Mario Paint.
Terrible choice.
It's a Mario-themed art game, and really the amount of hours I invested in this as a kid, I think it just shows the great context that exists in, and I think is a lot of fun.
The fly swatting game is still pretty addicting.
Oh yeah, the games I left off my list and I put Mario, like I might get. I like Mario Paint. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Like that music section, I can't do it, but go into YouTube and Google any song, and they're like Mario Paint, and somebody has composed that song in Mario Paint.
Yeah, which is amazing. I don't understand how people spend that much time. Because I remember trying to do that as a kid. I couldn't make anything because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just really just like, oh, that's a cat. Put cats over there. Need some dogs over there.
I would play the regular songs and just put Wink there, the pig, because it sounded like a fart. That was my strategy. So what do you got at number 10?
Me, I got Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time. All right.
The best Turtles game of all time, bar none.
I agree.
I still wish that this game was available or more available because I just want to play this game all the time because it's so good.
Well, next weekend you'll get your wish because I'm going to bring my little thing and I got Turtles in Time on there.
Nice.
Turtles in Time made my list at number 8.
Solid.
What do you got at 9?
9, I got Donkey Kong Country 2. Even though I kind of wanted to put 3 on here.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, why is it at 9?
Why 9? Just playing it recently in the last couple years, I remember like the nostalgic factor is so much higher in these games in this game than I thought it was. I used to like, oh, this game's so great, I loved it. Now I play it's like, oh, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. I like borderline great, but I don't know, it's lost a little bit as it's kind of aged to me. But that could have been like I wasn't playing it like non-stop forever, so.
Okay, well, again, you pick one of my top games and give it a very low ranking. I have Donkey Kong Country as my number 3 game.
Nice.
The music here, I was playing it last night, and like just the music alone, I was like, oh, man, this brings back so many memories. It's great. For myself, I have on 9 Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
Nice.
Eccentric, colorful, it's a great experience, unless you get hit and you have to listen to that goddamn baby cry.
Yeah, true that. Really, really fun game though, and very first game that starred Yoshi. Well, second game that starred Yoshi, but first like adventure game.
Yeah, I wouldn't count Yoshi Cookie.
Yeah, fuck that game.
And then at my number 8 spot, Turtles in Time. I kind of like the tie-in, like the heavy tie-in to the TV show, and how there was like Slash. Like I think I had the toy of Slash, and the fact he was in a video game, I was like, I got that guy. That's great.
I just think that having like they packed so many bosses in that game, and in a like side-scrolling beat 'em up, it kind of mashes such good like just like beating up on like regular old like foot soldiers, and then Tonka and Razor show up, and you're like, oh man, I gotta throw down. And you gotta like put on your A game. Then you gotta fight Shredder, and then all of a sudden you're in the Wild West. Fantastic.
Yeah, so I should preface, I made this list before I started replaying all these titles. It's tough. Like I found that I died.
Yeah.
Like had a game over almost every single level while playing this yesterday. It's difficult. But the reason I found out I was doing so poorly is there's like this super strike that I found if you hit the jump and attack button that actually drains 4 points of health.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about it. I'm upset. What do you have at number 8?
Me, I got Mario Kart.
That's pretty. Anyone that doesn't know why Mario Kart's on there is silly.
Silly. Oh man, the battle is so fantastic.
Yep.
I like just trying to jump your little cart into the protected areas and let all the other insane people knock each other out. Oh, it's great. Fantastic.
What do you have at number 7?
Number 7, I got Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
It's kind of low probably for most people, but
Yes, for most people.
I don't know. I think it's a really, really good game, but at this point I was kind of feeling my JRPG exhaustion. So I don't know. I kind of stick to a couple franchises, and Chrono Trigger's just been one of those games where, like, I've played, never fallen in love with.
All right. Well, speaking of JRPGs, at my number 7, I have Super Mario RPG.
Nice.
Another
fantastic game.
Yeah, I remember playing this game a bunch as a kid. It was only recently that I've actually completed it, but the impact this game left on young Mick, everything after I would look at this game or go to a friend's house and see it was all my toys, all my games. I needed to be this game. Mario and his friends going on a fun little adventure. To follow that up, number 6, Final Fantasy III.
Very good choice. I have Final Fantasy II.
Okay.
Yeah. It's both these games are both really bloody fantastic. Why'd you choose 3?
Well, I mean, there's an evil empire, a small group of rebels, and a war. Can you say Star Wars ripoff? You could if it wasn't for the best villain ever, Kefka. Considering I think I found this game before Final Fantasy VII, it really didn't leave that big of an impact, which is why I kind of didn't put it higher on the list. But I didn't really give it the time of the day. I think one of my friends had it, and we played it a little bit there, and I was like, man, this game's awesome. But again, just now I appreciate it a lot more than I did as a child. So
Yeah, I've gone back and I've played it. It's really good. For whatever reason, I play 2, and playing is like Cecil, the Dark Knight to start with. Just
what do you mean start with? Does something happen throughout the game? Spoilers.
Spoilers. Right?
I spent $70 on this game. Don't spoil it for me.
I paid 60 or 65, I think it was.
Stupid. We're so goddamn stupid.
You know, whatever. This game has a special part in the world to me. Like this is one of those games that I would go to the rental stores and be like, you gotta pick a game. It's like this one. It's like, you're gonna have to start from square one again. You're like, yes.
Yeah, and like I said, this will be interesting to look back on these, because I think my Super Nintendo's list is going to change. I know it's going to change. So what do you have at 5?
Me, I got Super Castlevania.
Okay.
Yep. Just bloody fantastic, playing against all the Universal monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy. So good. So good.
Awesome. So I didn't have that one, actually. Yikes. I have Mega Man X on this list.
Nice. I don't have any Mega Mans on my list. Any of the Mega Man X, I should say.
I feel like our lists are going to be very different.
Very.
We're going to have to do a recap, because Yeah, we'll do a recap after the end of this list, and maybe before we go over what our top game is.
That works.
Just so everyone kind of can be like, oh, that's what they said, because I'm sure we're jumping around quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So Mega Man X, again, most of these titles, I'm just kind of saying the name and leaving it as such, because I'm more than likely going to do a full show on it, and I don't want to exhaust too many points right now.
That's fair.
At 4, I've got Super Metroid.
Same.
Perfect. This game is just the best version of Metroid, or the best that you've seen yet. I think it's better than any of the GameCube titles. They made basically the perfect game and kind of screwed themselves.
Basically, it's one of those things where how can you really top everything lining up perfectly? It's really hard to do. Like Symphony of the Night tried its darndest, but the only difference between Symphony of the Night and really this game is a couple of years, updated graphics, more memory, so everything is going to naturally be better. And then they're like, let's just slap Castlevania on it. And you're like,
yeah, but
perfect.
This game is so simple because there's story at the beginning, and then there's 90% of the game, and then there's story. Whereas Symphony of the Night, it's story. Oh, there's story. Have you seen this? Story. It's okay, but this game is just so simple and so nice. And I'm gushing about the game on my 4 list, so who knows what's going to be higher. What do you have at 3?
Street Fighter 2.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, the reason being is this basically kicked off one of my genre loves. I love racing games and fighting games and a couple of other just random ass kind of genres. Fighting games, this is the sucker that started it all. I would play every single character in elimination style with people just to see who are you best with, because everybody has that one character that they're really good with, and I could go on for days about Street Fighter 2.
Awesome.
What do you have at number 3?
I've got Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. So we kind of went over this. At number 2, I think this will be a pretty telltale what I have at 2. You can almost guess what I have at 1. I have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yeah, I think you have that a little bit low.
At 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, prefacing Zelda 2, you know what? I was thinking about it earlier. I don't know if I can say that Zelda 2 is better than this game.
No way.
I think this has to be my second favorite Zelda title ever, and Zelda 2, or maybe they're tied. They're tied for the second tier.
That's fair. My list of love for Zelda games is kind of muddied, but this one just always hangs out top 1, top 2.
All right, what do you got at 2?
I got Super Mario World. Great game. I was thinking of putting the All-Star pack on here because that's just cheating. Super Mario World. Every single little area has their own sort of Koopa Kid, and every sort of area has its own sort of flavor, and it was just fantastic game. So good. All these secret little nooks and every crannies. Fantastic game.
Okay. What's on your honorable mention list?
Me? I'll just rattle through them real quick. Earthworm Jim 1, 2.
Earthworm Jim, that's a good one. I should download that.
Yeah, you should. So good. Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Nice.
And Star Fox.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I have... I feel bad for having to say these on honorable mention. The ones that didn't make my list, I've got Chrono Trigger and Earthbound.
Ooh, I didn't even mention Earthbound.
Yep. ActRaiser, which is kind of a SimCity slash... adventure game. It's kind of fun. And then Yoshi Safari.
So good.
Yeah. Definitely one of the... the Super Scope was not as cool as the Nintendo Zapper, I kind of wish with the Wii, like, I don't know why Nintendo didn't release all the Super Scope games in just like a nice package and say, look, you've got a point and click thing, you know? Really wasted opportunity there, Nintendo.
Yeah, that one, hindsight 2020, come on, that one's pretty straightforward. I feel like they could do it on the Wii U, but that game's kind of at the end of its lifestyle.
Yeah, well, like, or that and like Pokemon Snap, like, release these games. Like, wouldn't that make the most sense for Pokemon Snap to be on the Wii U?
Basically.
It's stupid. So, do you want to say what our top game is, even though it's really obvious what they are?
We've
go
kind
through
of
that.
got ours switched.
Yeah, and then just so let's go through that. So, my top game is Super Mario World.
And mine's Link to the Past.
Yeah, I guess I probably should preface that Super Mario World is my favorite game of all time. One sentence really can't do it justice. You're going to have to wait for the Podtendo episode. Like, I might do a 10-hour-long extravaganza on this game, because it honestly, in my mind, is just the best game of all time.
It's pretty good. Mine's obviously Link to the Past. For obvious reasons, I could go on and on and on about how amazing this bloody game is. It is, I want to say bar none, my favorite Zelda game, but there's a couple there that really want to give it a run for its money, but easily it's, top 2 best Zelda games of all time.
Yep, no, I agree. And, like, unfortunately, because I think so much of Super Mario World, it has to be on my number 1 spot, but you could almost, I'm looking at the list here, and, like, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 might be in, like, my top 10 video games of all time. So
yeah, you could literally just grab a handful of any of these Super Nintendo games that I listed off and just be like, this is Tyson's top 5 games of all time list.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
Like, I might add a couple other ones, but for one system to have that big of an impact on my life is pretty crazy.
Especially considering that, like, that console came out
1990?
Yeah, like right when we were young kids. Like, I was born, I'm a 89 baby, so like I was barely alive when this game was in its heyday. So for me to kind of come in at the tail end of it, it was, everybody's talking about the new stuff like the N64, and I would still play the Super Nintendo just out of sheer, this is a better game. Let's play Turtles in Time.
Well, and like I said before, though, I'm pretty sure they had the NES and they said, look at all these great things and look how creative we are. And they kind of just came along with the Super Nintendo and said, we made something stronger, that looks better, that sounds better. Let's just remake everything.
Basically.
So that you're getting the second iteration, right? Whereas the N64 again was, let's make new stuff. And then you look at the GameCube, and there's tons of great titles there. But what did they do? They just took what they did on the N64 and did it better.
That's true. I guess they've always just kind of done that, which is why the Wii U kind of had struggled to find its own identity, because the Wii was so strong. So it's like, how do you do the Wii again? Well, this time let's use the stylus instead of motion control.
Which works on the 3DS, because that's a special market. But for a console game, they should have made a super powerful PlayStation 4 powered vehicle and just redid all the Wii games on that.
Yeah, and just literally reskinned everything to HD and given it regular controls.
Well, that's all they're doing now. Like, they're actually super blatant. They're like, remember this game we made for the GameCube and Wii and Twilight Princess? It's now in HD on the Wii U. Isn't it so much better? And it's like, no, it's not. That game still sucks. Like, give us a better title about Link and the Shadow People or something. And you're like, oh shit, this game would be good. So basically, that was the falling out of the Wii U, in my opinion, was. But
yeah, and I think the Wii U had its bright spots and stuff, but we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just go back to Super Nintendo's best Nintendo console, in my opinion.
So I mean, so that's our list. It was good. Just quickly, what was your top 10 NES games? Just give a recap for everybody.
Oh, okay. Number 10, Castlevania. Number 9, Metroid. Number 8, Ghosts and Goblins. Number 7, Ninja Gaiden. Number 6, Mega Man 2. Number 4, Final Fantasy. Number 3, DuckTales. Number 2, Mario 3. And then honorable mentions of Duck Hunt, Metal Gear, Punch-Out, and number 1, Zelda 2. But Zelda 1 could also be there.
Perfect. Mine were, I'll just roll 10-1, Final Fantasy, Star Tropics, Blades of Steel, DuckTales, Metroid, Castlevania, Zelda, Mega Man 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, and then Zelda 2. And what was your top 10 NES games? Super Nintendo games.
Number 10, Turtles in Time, which totally should be higher. Number 9, Donkey Kong Country. Number 8, Mario Kart. Number 7, Chrono Trigger. Number 6, Final Fantasy 2. Number 5, Super Castlevania. Number 4, Super Metroid. Number 3 was Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 2. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now.
Yep.
And then number 2 is Super Mario World. And then number 1 is Link to the Past.
Perfect. And I've got 10 Mario Paint, 9 Yoshi's Island, 8 Turtles in Time, 7 Super Mario RPG, 6 was Final Fantasy 3, Mega Man X was at 5, number 4 was Super Metroid, 3 was Diddy's Conquest, 2 was Zelda, and 1 was Super Mario World.
Nice.
So there's our list. Our opinions are out there on the internet to be scrutinized and criticized and, I don't know, be
told how we messed up because we left off so many amazing games that we just didn't mention, like Harvest Moon on the original Nintendo, because that game was so good.
Like I said, I'm going to try and compile like the greatest games of all time on this system and just try and work through them. That's the point of this podcast. Let's go through, and I'm really excited to see what does this list look like in 2 years' time after we played the majority of these titles.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll look at trying to do some of the ones like I don't have Super Castlevania.
Oh, I didn't even preface my list. I only listed games that I've played.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to do that too. So like I haven't played all the way through Super Castlevania.
Oh, okay.
Like I've maybe even I think I looked at it at like Brett Holmgren's place.
That sounds about right.
But like there's lots of games where I was like I haven't really played that one. Like as much as I like to talk it up, and so that's kind of also the reason why like I've maybe played through the first 5 minutes of Chrono Trigger. So if I play through Chrono Trigger, does it change my opinion? Maybe.
Could possibly.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how does that list get influenced, and we should definitely go and look at what games are omitted on like one of our lists, and then we could kind of like you can run the ship on that one. So like you can be the Castlevania expert, Super Castlevania expert, and you can kind of try and convince me why it's a good game.
Fair enough.
Something like that. That works for you. So
cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good. 7 episodes in the bank now. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's good. We're going to hit that big 50 mark at any point now. It's really coming along. Good.
I just think of some of these like podcasts and like, how are you already at like 500?
Yep. Well, it's just consistently, and lots of them are just numbered like 1, 2, like chronologically, whereas we're numbering the main show one thing, and then anything else we do is getting its own. So really we've released, this will be like almost 9 or 10 by the time this gets released. So
True enough.
But like main shows, this is only the 7th.
Gotcha.
Awesome. And bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. The Podtendo podcast was produced by Mick Rutschman. You can contact Podtendo on Twitter at Podtendo Podcast, email us at podtendo@gmail.com, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/podtendo. The music of Podtendo was used without permission and is property of Nintendo.
Introducing the epic challenge that only the Super Nintendo Entertainment System could make possible. Across endless land and water, you search. Deep into a parallel world where light becomes dark, you search. And just when you think your search has ended, you find it's just begun. The new Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. Now you're playing with power, superpower.